everyone. Welcome to another episode of Podcast on Fifth Ave, and happy Thanksgiving. We hope wherever you're listening, you're having fun and eating tons of food. But we're here to help talk about Penguins and give you that fix. So it's me, Jordan, as always, with Taylor and Jenna. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Yeah. Doing well.
Yeah.
Back on the East Coast, finally.
Yeah, not eating turkey. Not a big turkey fan. We were just talking about that before we aired.
Sure.
So
stuffing for the win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, stuffing. Oh, I'm getting lustful. All right. Well, the Penguins are also back down on this portion of the East Coast in America, and they're getting ready as we're recording to play the Canucks tonight. But they just wrapped up a pretty stellar trip to Canada, going 3-0. Perfect. Unbelievable, especially after the way that they were kind of struggling there the past couple weeks. They were looking shaky. I don't think anybody was really ready to throw in the towel on the team yet, but there were some very blatant issues that they were having, and those seemed to disappear. And we may have even mentioned this last week. They seemed to disappear with that Mike Matheson hit in the third period against the Sabres last week. And then from there, it was like switch flipped, and this is a totally different team. So there were definitely some more noteworthy highlights from the Canada trip, including Tristan Jarry, who had himself a bit of a shutout streak going. And we were talking about just the history of Penguins shutout streaks. Taylor, clue us in on who's kind of up there in the top ranks.
Yeah, so Jarry's latest one, which includes Montreal, Toronto, then the first bit of Winnipeg, and then, the carryover from the Sabres. That is the fifth longest shutout streak in Penguins history at 161 minutes, 33 seconds. Jarry holds the record. He was pretty close to what it was. 177 is where his record is, but and he set that in the 1920 season. Before he set that, Thomas Vokoun was the record holder, which is kind of surprising. I don't think anyone would have picked Thomas Vokoun. I mean, his tenure here was kind of, I guess you would say, streaky, pretty rough at times. But I mean, Fleury has most of these records. And like the top 10, I mean, Fleury has number 3. 165 minutes. He has number 4, 164 minutes. He has number 6 at 150 minutes. Jarry also has the number 8 spot. He set that last season. Sebastian Caron up there. He has number 7. Caron has number 11 too, which is interesting because Caron was here for some pretty bad times. The X Generation era. He did not set that in the X Generation season, but he was here for some bad times. Actually, Wilkes-Barre's emergency third goalie up until this season. The past couple of years, they signed Caron a couple times to sit on the bench. But yeah, so Fleury has a bunch, but yeah, Jarry streak pretty historic for the organization. Jim Rutherford, by the way, at number 15. 132 minutes.
There he is. Love it. Yeah, he played excellent on this road trip. And even in the game, I guess, Tuesday night, he still looked fantastic, even though he gave up that one goal. There was kind of a screen in front of him. There really wasn't much he could do on that one. And despite that, the screen, honestly, we do have to mention how well the team was playing in front of him, because he did make some excellent saves. But in general, Penguins controlled a ton of the puck time, like zone time. And the penalty kill needs to be mentioned, because holy crap, were they phenomenal while they were on the road. And they have been all season, but Was this the trip? It all just kind of melds together. Is this the trip where they had to kill off a 5-on-3? Which game was that? Was that the one on
Toronto?
Yeah, I want to think that was Toronto. That seems about right. It's been a long week.
It has been, hasn't it? Oh my Lord. But yeah, the penalty kill looks really sharp all the time. For as much as the power play has struggled, the penalty kill has more than made up for it. Jenna, what do you attribute to the PK's success so far this season.
I think it was just with this group too. I mean, they knew how crucial this road trip was going to be. I want to say it was Jeff Carter that after the Sabres game before they went to Montreal basically said, we know kind of what's at stake here. I think he made it a point to say like how important this was going to be for the team in terms of getting things back on track. And they faced, I take Montreal out of the equation a little bit because they're not, yes, they were in the Stanley Cup final a year ago, but they're not fantastic by any means, like when you look at strengths of the league. But Toronto, before the Penguins game, had won 10 of 11. I want to say it was like 5 or 6 in a row. And then Winnipeg is also a really solid team. So you win 3 games. I mean, you dominate Montreal, but then you also win against 2 really good opponents, especially one opponent with a really solid netminder in Connor Hellebuck for the Jets. So I think that, this was something huge for them to build off of. And I really think, with the PK, with the power play, it really just goes back to them playing within the system. I know we kind of always talk about that and we always hear from Mike Sullivan, from the guys, but this was something where they really consistently seem to play to their identity, which when they do that, you see a lot of success when they're not trying to do too much. We always hear Sullivan say they're gripping their sticks too much if they're putting some stress on themselves. But again, this is also the fact that they have so many guys back that are healthy. This is one of the first real times we've seen this team, again, other than Evgeny Malkin, who's still recovering from surgery. This is the first time this team has been healthy for more than a game. You're not seeing that taken out of the lineup every single night with COVID, with new injuries, etc.
And you mentioned how, Toronto was on a quite the streak, and even Winnipeg is really good. And Winnipeg is a really difficult team to play in Winnipeg. Their arena is hostile, and the fans just get so into it. And the fact that they went down early and first and were still able to keep their composure and come back and win the game the way that they did, it was super impressive. Taylor, we talked about Brian Dumoulin last week and how he kind of looked shaky coming back from COVID. Did you notice any type of improvement with him in his game, or is he still kind of trying to find his legs?
I mean, Dumoulin's season as a whole, even before COVID, has been pretty underwhelming. So, I mean, I think that's kind of what we're still seeing from him. I think conditioning-wise, he definitely looked better. It's like that first game in Washington, he really looked slow. And we talked about it, last week, that even when he talked after, he sounded winded just at the end of the 3-minute press conference. He sounded like he needed to catch his breath. So, coming back from COVID, now that he has a couple practices, he definitely looks better. But I think as a whole, Dumoulin's season, pretty underwhelming. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, the expected goals shares. And but I mean, that kind of reflects it. So, he's still not where I think they want him to be. But I don't think COVID's really a factor anymore with him.
That's fair. And you're right, because even before he went out, people were kind of all commenting on how he just doesn't look like himself. He looks a little, I don't even know what word you would use, but underwhelming is a really good way to describe his season so far. He isn't being the difference maker that we've seen him be in the past on the blue line. And that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. And I mean, he's making some bad decisions himself. Cause I mean, the real strength of like the pairing with him and Letang is the guy that likes to take risks offensively. And Dumoulin's kind of the more responsible guy that balances him out. But I don't think they're getting that as much from Dumoulin this year. Like, we talked about it after the Washington game. Like, he looked slow, but he was also, like, he had a turnover that led to, I think it was Washington's 3rd goal. That's not because of COVID. That's just Dumoulin making a bad decision. So I think that's really where he needs to improve at this point in the season. It's not really a conditioning thing anymore.
Yeah, hopefully he can kind of get his wits about him, because you're right. There were a lot of moments, especially in that weekend skid a couple weeks ago, where he was just a turnover machine. bad. And in his defense, a lot of guys were making really stupid passes and they were trying to force the puck where they shouldn't have been. But overall, great run of games in Canada. Excellent. As good as you could get. 2 shutouts, 1 goal allowed total, and a total of 6 points out of, if my math is correct, 3 times 2, 6. Yes. So it's awesome. And hopefully next week we'll be able to kind of keep this going. Let's take a break really quick. And when we come back, we can talk a little bit more about how the forwards have impact play. And we're back. So the forwards in this road trip also had quite the impact on the games. Let's talk about Jake Guentzel a little bit, because he has himself a point streak going. He has himself a goal streak going right now, but he also has kind of a concerning tendency that he's been leaning into this season, and that's leaning into goaltenders. But let's talk about the good stuff first. So Taylor, let's get into his stat line. Do you by chance have his stats from this last 4 or 5 games?
Not the last 4 or 5 games, but I mean, he's their leading scorer right now, 15 points.
Jake.
In 17 games, 8 goals, 7 assists. So, yeah, I mean, that's what you need to see from him. Because he did kind of have a slow start to the season. So, but he has really picked it up as of late. I don't think COVID was the reason for that slow start, because he wasn't symptomatic. Remember we asked him about it, and he said he just read books about Tiger Woods and got on the Peloton. Right. So it's not a COVID thing. He just had a slow start to the season, but yeah, he definitely has turned it around.
Yeah, he's looking good. Jenna, what do you see from Jake that you like the most so far?
I did just pull up his stats too, because I wanted to make sure, but yeah, he has goals in at least the last 5 games. And I don't think it's any coincidence by any means that Sidney Crosby returns to the lineup and all of a sudden Jake Guentzel can't stop scoring goals. I think those two really do seem to go hand in hand. I think also just the fact that, there's finally consistency. And this is kind of what we said a little bit earlier. But again, this now, the lines aren't being shaken up. Guys aren't playing with guys they're not entirely used to playing. We were seeing Guentzel and Jeff Carter really develop some chemistry, but when a guy you've been line mates with for years, who's also just so happens to be number 87, comes back into the lineup, you're going to find success because you have those tendencies where they know where each other's going to be. They know where to go. They know, hey, if, Sid's flying down the ice doing this, Guentzel knows where he has to be in relative distance to Crosby. So all those types of things really do kind of seem to go hand in hand, but I think they just kind of also, too, I feel like putting too much pressure and saying, this was a huge road trip for them, but it was. This was a point in the season where they're like, all right, we have guys back. Now we really have to start putting things together, because as much as guys all the time say, we're not really looking at the standings, we're not really paying attention to where they are, they know they had to pick up points. They know they have to find ways to win games. You can't put together losing streaks and expect to stay alive, not only in your division, but in just the playoff race in general. And so I think you're really kind of seeing him have, not that he didn't have confidence before by any means, but, get in that, system where he's like, okay, this is what I'm doing, get into that routine almost of this is how we play. This is how I find success. And of course, when you're on a little bit of a hot streak, you want to keep it alive. You want to keep it going. And it just so happens that he's really finding the back of the net the way that he is in multiple ways. And a lot of them have been pretty nice too. I mean, some are greasy. Sometimes you just have to get that, not the prettiest of goals by any means, but anytime you can kind of just get on a roll, which I think we're seeing clearly Guentzel do right now, it bodes well for the confidence of him, his line, and then you see the trickle-down effect where, second, third, fourth line says, hey, they're producing, we need to step up. We need to produce as well.
Yeah, for sure. And that's exciting to see, especially because we know what Jake is capable of. And he's such a fun hockey player to watch whenever he's on. And there is just such a chemistry between him and Sid that is just one of the most electric top lines in the sport right now. It's super fun. However, yes, he keeps running into goalies, and that's not ideal. Taylor, what is he doing? What is he thinking? Can he please stop it?
Yeah, it's happened, 3-4 times? It happened in Winnipeg. I remember it happening against Florida at home, and there was another time I can't remember. It
wasn't Montreal, was it?
It might have been. It's happened a lot, like recently in a short period of time, which is weird because it's not what you really expect to see from Jake Guentzel. But yeah, he's not playing dirty, and Sullivan was asked about that at the morning skate, after the morning skate on Wednesday, and he said, I don't think there's any intent there if that's what you're asking, on Jake's behalf. He's not trying to bowl over the goalies. And then Sullivan, he went on to say he just has a nose for the net. He goes to the net, he's trying to score, and there's no real intent on his part other than trying to get to the net, trying to increase his angle or his opportunity to finish in those areas. He's a competitive guy, he's brave, he's willing to go to the hard areas, willing to take cross checks in the physical play to try to score, which, yeah, that's what we've seen from Guentzel. I remember after the Hornquist trade, and everyone's like, who's going to be the new net front guy? And it was Jake. And really from the beginning, he's not playing that kind of role when he's there the same way Hornquist would. Like on the power play, he will stay there and like take cross checks, like Mike Sullivan says. But he's also, I think, he's much more agile than Patrick Hornquist, and he does move around the net well, and that's how he does get some of those goals from that area. But yeah, he is a guy that drives to the net hard, and that's why we're seeing him bowl over goalies accidentally. Sometimes he gets those goaltender interference penalties, so it's not something you want to see keep happening. But I don't know if there's much that can be done about that because he's just driving to the net hard trying to score.
Yeah, he almost looks like an excited little kid who just like completely loses control of their body because I don't even know what they're going after, but he just wants to score, and he wants to create chances for his team, and it never even once has looked like he was headhunting for the goalie. He just is very excited, and it's exciting to see, but at the same time, whenever it does result in being, down a man and having to kill off a penalty, it's not ideal, but he's scoring a ton. We'll let it go for now, as long as he can kind of get his skates under control. But he's not the only forward who is really creating some buzz. I know Danton Heinen he's been really excelling in Mike Sullivan's system. Jenna, what do you attribute that to? Because he's no Jared McCann, but he's doing really well here, and that's awesome. So what's leading to his success?
Well, I just want to go on the record first and say that if we go back to the beginning of the season when we talked about the acquisition of Danton Heinen, I was a big proponent of, if he can get to the level he was for the Penguins, that he was with the Bruins, especially in their 2019 playoff run, he was going to have a lot of success, and he's fine in the back of the net. Just saying. No, but I mean, he's I think confidence is a huge part of his game too, because when he's able to produce, you see him produce in spurts. And that was also something you saw with him in Boston when he was with the Bruins. But for him, I mean, he really is just finding ways. I feel like it is cliche a little bit, but he's finding ways to get to the net. He's finding ways to make plays, to keep the puck in the zone, to keep things alive in order for this team to continue to generate chances, for him and his line to say, hey, we're going to go out there and we're really going to maintain zone time. We're going to maintain possession, and we're going to keep it in the zone and get multiple chances on a shift, not just, one or two and then, we're back to defending type thing. And I think he's been phenomenal. He's been fun to watch also. He really has been. But he is somebody too that, they needed him to score. And I think early on it was a little bit of the fact that, okay, we're missing so many key guys. Who is going to step up? But now you saw a little bit of a drop off, nothing drastic, but he's still one of the top goal scorers on this team, I believe, statistically. I want to say like maybe
second.
Yeah,
The Penguins' top 3 goal scorers. Guentzel is number 1 with 8, and then Danton Heinen and Evan Rodriguez are right behind with 6.
The two, I've been aboard both of those. So, mark it. You heard it here first, people.
The two of them, they came in what I think people are expecting them to both be like 13th forwards.
Yes.
Guys would be in and out of the lineup, and look at where they are now. So, again, but to your point about Heinen, really not surprising. I did pull up the numbers. His most successful year in Boston in the regular season was 17-18, and he had 16 goals and 31 assists, and that was mostly on the third line, and those were good numbers. But then he went and he was on a bad Ducks team. His quality of competition over those last 3 years before this was in the 80th percentile. So he was playing against some of the top players in the league, while the quality of his teammates on the ice with him was in the lower third, in the 33rd percentile. So. Bad teammates, and he was being deployed against top lines. Like, I'm looking, his most frequent opponents were the number 1 lines of the Avalanche, like Landeskog, McKinnon, Rantanen, and the Coyotes with like Schmaltz and Garland. So his production did drop off after he left Boston, but again, you have to look at the situation. So now that he is in like a better circumstance, and he does have better teammates, and he isn't really being deployed against top lines. We are seeing that kind of production pick back up, but again, I don't think anyone expected him to be their number 2 goal scorer at this point in the season, even with the injuries the Penguins have had.
Mm-hmm. And the Penguins never needed him to be. It's excellent that he is one of their top goal scorers, but they didn't need him to be a top goal scorer. What they really needed him to be was depth, and because they lost Jared McCann and Brandon Tanev in the offseason. Somehow both to the Seattle Kraken. I'm not still bitter. I'll let it go. But it's excellent whenever you can see guys on the third and fourth lines really stepping up. And like even Evan Rodriguez, Jenna, you've been talking about him all season. And it just looks like anytime he gets the puck, in the opponent's zone, like in their own zone, he just like makes a beeline through the neutral zone. He's unreal. Like he just is on a mission. He's been really great too. Taylor, is there anybody else that has stood out to you so far that's kind of surprising?
Blueger, we're seeing more offense from Blueger too. He has 5 goals, 2 assists in 18 games. I would say Zucker has stood out in not the best way. We're still not kind of seeing the offense they were hoping to get from him when they made that trade. And he really hasn't looked that great overall. He did score in Winnipeg. But before that, he really was having a pretty bad game. Just making bad decisions with the puck. I still like to see Zucker turn it around. But his numbers aren't awful, but given like where he is in the lineup, they need more out of him for sure.
Yeah, it's great whenever you have depth pieces performing at a high level, but you need the guys with the big contracts and the money makers to be making themselves worth the money. And I don't think he's been doing that since he got here, honestly. And he got here right before didn't he get here in 2020? No, 2019. When time is not real.
Before COVID, because
I remember it was before COVID.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I remember when COVID started becoming a thing, like in China, and it was affecting like the supply chains with the hockey sticks. I remember going around asking the guys like, have you heard about this? Because it came out like that, like Eichel, I think it was, in Buffalo was like almost out of sticks and he wasn't able to get any. So I was going around asking the guys like, what's your stick supply like? Can you make it through the season? And Zucker was like the only one at the time who had like heard of COVID, and this was like a month before everything shut down. A couple of them were aware of it, but he was really the only one that knew what it was. I remember I asked like Dominic Cahoon about it, and he's like, "The what virus?" It was like just blew his mind.
Like if you only knew back then.
Yeah, but yeah, Zucker. Yeah, no, that was before COVID.
Crazy times. Crazy times. Let's take another break. We'll be right back. And we're back. We're all gearing up for the Olympics, and I think we're all pretty excited. I would say that we're excited for the Olympics. Yes. So, yeah, so pumped. And one thing that we obviously love is aesthetics on this show. And we love a good mustache. We love good goalie pads, and we love a good jersey, but we also love to rag on terrible jerseys. And there have been some jersey dumps lately, including a jersey that looks like someone took a dump on it. The Canadian team, the Finnish team, and Team America, Team USA. Are those the three Olympic teams?
Yeah, those are the only three that have put out their jerseys so far.
All right, thoughts. Let's open the floor. Taylor, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I hate the USA ones. It's weird. It's like two shades of blue because the US team they wear like navy now, but there's also kind of like the royal blue in there. There are two blue jerseys. There's like a royal blue and a navy blue one, but they both have royal blue and navy blue. And I guess the royal blue is supposed to be like a throwback to like the 80s. And I don't know, like before, USA put out these jerseys, if you look at like, what the people were tweeting at them, like they really just want like the 1980 jerseys, maybe like revamped or just brought back entirely.
Is it hard? Is it that hard to ask for? Is it that hard to ask for?
And they
apparently
they come out with this like, and I honestly like reading the Twitter replies. Like I haven't seen a reply or quote tweet that says like, "Oh, this is really nice. I like this." Like everyone's kind of disappointed.
They're soccer jerseys. I tried to tweet this in the nicest way possible, but I was like, Christian Pulisic's gonna look great in these because they're the guitar. It's not. It's not. It just like the hype video too. My God, it was amazing. I'm like, let's go. These are gonna be great. There's shots of the 1980s jerseys, and then it's like, just put them on screen. I'm like, you're joking. You're joking. I was showing my dad this afternoon, and I just was like, did you see the picture yet? He goes, no. And my dad's a diehard hockey fan. I just showed him. He looked at me. He goes, nope.
No.
Like, yes, it's so bad.
I really don't like it. But
it's so bad. It's so bad. I don't know what they were aiming for. I don't know what they had in mind that they were like, yo, this is our vision board for this jersey. But God, whatever it was, if it was that, oh God, it's so bad. It's just so bad. What is that? It's just a block. One block, a horizontal thing with thin lettering.
Like the clashing blues. Like
yes. Terrible. It's terrible.
It's like pick one. Pick one blue.
It's not that hard.
They showed the emblem, and I'm like, this is going to be sick. If they had done the emblem as the big front, like that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's like a little up here. It's just like you had so many better options. I forget if it's with you guys or who I say this with, but there needs to be a millennial or there needs to be somebody under the age of like 32 in every boardroom whenever decisions are made, because that one millennial would have looked at this and been like, yeah, that ain't it.
Yep. Nope. It's not even a swing and a miss. They just watched the ball lob itself over the plate and were like, that's good enough. Yeah. Just awful. Garbage. Oh my God. They're terrible. And that's what our country is putting out there into the world. Again, like we're already, at least second, if not further down, like third maybe behind Canada and Russia. Like, and we're going to put out those lame ass jerseys. Like, nobody's going to take us seriously. Come on, they're hideous.
Even like, yeah, because the women are wearing those too, and like even the U.S. women have kind of been disappointing. They've been doing like these friendlies over the last year, and I mean, the last time they had not this past Worlds, but the one before that, like Canada wasn't even in the gold medal game, so that one should at least be like on the women's side should be interesting. But they're going to be not looking great while they do it. So while that has like a 0% approval rating, Canada seems to be 50-50. I love Canada's.
I think it's so sick. Yeah.
I love it, but then like a lot of the replies were mixed. I quote tweeted it and I said like, okay, these are awesome. I think what I get, because I think it's the homes are the black ones. Yes. They have like an all black with red, and then they have like the away that's like the normal white with the red, and then their third is red with the black. It seems like a lot of people don't like black. Like, why is Canada incorporating black as like a major color? I think people don't like that. And then the other issue people have with it is like the logo, the maple leaf itself on the center, because it kind of looks like a seashell.
Okay, calm down, everybody.
I like it. I didn't have a problem with the logo, but yeah, it seemed like Canadians pretty mixed on it.
Yeah,
interesting. Well, I guess Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was going to say that was just a seashell.
Yeah, I think Jesse Marshall was the one who said it first, and I was like, "Why did you put that out there? Now I can't unsee it." Yeah, but I think that the black is just so clean. With like the very minimalistic outline on the seashell. It's just beautiful. Like, I love that. And so Canada, USA, and then Finland too. Those are sick.
Finland is like 100% approval rating from what I've seen. Like USA, objectively garbage. Canada's pretty mixed, but like I haven't seen anyone complain about Finland. I don't know if they have a third. They haven't put it out. If they have, they only had that first one where they're modeling the home and the away. But yeah, it's like the solid blue, and then there's like a royal blue stripe with their logo. I think Finland's like logo is really cool.
What is that?
It's a lion.
Nice.
I don't know why they're the lions, but like that's what they call.
Whatever.
Other countries have that where like their national teams have a name. Like the Finns are the lions. Like that's what their national team name translates to. The junior team they call the little lions in Finnish. I love that. Like Sweden, they're like the three crowns. USA doesn't have like a name. But so they don't have like a cool logo. I mean, they have that shield, but Finland, they got the lion, and then the white jersey, just the same. It's just white with that same logo. But I love it.
That's all you need.
Captain's gonna look great in it.
And like the little royal blue, like it's just so nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. The fact that they only chose one blue, really nice. Like that. They're decisive over there. Apparently, us not so much. And then another, America's just keeping up with being a dump. New Jersey's jerseys. We have to mention that.
They're new friends.
Yeah, even their social media team on Twitter tweeted a picture of a hat that just says hat, and they were like, "We may drop these next."
Yeah, it's really bad, and it's because they're from New Jersey. Like, if Vegas were to just shorten it to like like they're Vegas, if you just put like half of like the city name on it, it's not that bad. But it's because it's a Jersey. Like again, like it's like what they made the joke like a hat that says hat or like a shirt that says shirt, but just like the font too, like it's giving Abercrombie, it's giving Aeropostale like 2007. Like,
if we're going back to middle school when we all had the like powder blue T-shirt that had like 3 levels of script that said
"Oh my Lord"
on it. That's
my God.
That is.
And the font looks like they borrowed it from Aeropostale in like 2007. The rest of it, like the numbering, and like the stripes and everything else, I don't think it's that bad. I saw people do mock-ups where they took off the jersey and put just like a logo in that same kind of style, and it looked all right. Like it wasn't bad, just that it says jersey.
It's, oh my God, it's another one of those things where, like, if a millennial was in that room, they would have noticed that immediately and been like, hey, moron, this is a jersey. Maybe perhaps we should at least include new on there. Maybe let's put Devils. Like,
yeah, like if they would have done Devils, like the script, I don't think wouldn't have been that bad if it wouldn't have been something stupid. Like
it's so stupid. Oh my God, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
It amazes me how some people have jobs. And maybe they don't anymore. That could have been their last project with the New Jersey Devils. Who knows? But hopefully, so Penguins, there's a lot of speculation around their third jerseys. I know that there was something that was leaked that essentially the diagonal from the 90s, but it's the black, not the reverse retro. It's just the standard diagonal.
I think that was just a fan mock-up that like people ran with, because I know people have been called like the Snoop Dogg jersey. People have been calling for that for a while. Because they're not bringing back the 80s like golds that they wore before. They had like a pretty awful record in that, and like I think the players are pretty superstitious when like their third jerseys, because you remember the ones they wore in the 2011 Winter Classic, the navy blue with the baby blue. I mean, Crosby, that's when he got the concussion, but it was also like every time they wore those jerseys after, there was like some major injury, and then like that last year where they wore them, they had like a schedule when they were supposed to wear them, and they cut it short. Like they retired the jerseys early, because I think it was like I think Malkin got hurt in it. Orpik, I think didn't he like break his jaw? Or am I thinking of like Orpik breaking Crosby's jaw with the shot?
Oh, maybe.
But there were a lot, and so the golds didn't bring. And they wore the golds in the playoffs. So that you can't come back from that.
No.
So they are due for a new one. Yeah.
I know so many people and myself included, are really rooting for the Robo Penguin to come back. Like,
I love.
Why not?
I love that logo.
It's
so great.
Good.
It's amazing. It's perfect.
I think like we were not alive in that era, but I think like people who are fans, because when they first switched to that, it was like they won 2 cups and then they switched jerseys, and then they have their best regular season team ever, and then they lose in the playoffs. So I think a lot of people just associate that with bad memories. I don't. I mean, I think it's a great logo. We're seeing more like kind of those like late 90s, mid late 90s, early 2000s logos, but you come back like. My favorite Capitals logo is the Screaming Eagle, and they did bring that back in their current colors, not the navy blue and gold that they used to wear. But I'd love to see the Robo Pigeon, the one with the gradient.
Yes, the gradient.
The super like 90s. You don't really see a whole lot of gradients in jerseys anymore. No. I'd love to see that one come back, but I think more people are rooting for the Snoop Dogg diagonal.
It's way too close to the reverse retro. Like not that if they release that as their third jersey, I'm gonna buy at least one, if not more, a handful. I'm not. It's not like it would be if they released jersey on a jersey, but I just feel like mix it up. Like let's get some variety in there, because we did the diagonal last year, so let's get something new. Let's spice it up. And
whatever
last
it is,
season was great.
Yeah, I think if they're gonna go to like a throwback, I think it has to be like a throwback exactly, not changing of weird things.
Yeah,
like the reverse retros were fine, which were the Snoop Dogg jerseys. But I mean, that was the theme for that jersey concept. But too many teams are like got to bring back half ones. Even the 80s jerseys they were wearing, the last alternates. They were like missing the triangle, and it's like the shoulders were weird. It's like just bring back like the 80s jerseys exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that with like the gradient and like the Robo Pigeon. I don't think we're gonna see that. I think the Snoop Dogg jersey seems more likely. I know Chris Letang has been asked a bunch of times. Like he hasn't done it in a while, but like Instagram like Q&As of like people out submit questions, and he's been asked a lot of times like, what jersey would you like to see be the third jersey? And Chris Letang is big into the Snoop Dogg jersey, and he's made that clear. He's tweeted about it, posted on Instagram and stuff like that. So I think it would make Letang happy. So
yeah. Well, we'll see what they end up doing. Is there any timeline on when they're going to be announcing this?
No.
It's just going to be random.
Yeah, I hope they just show up like to warm-ups in like these new jerseys one day, and like that's the reveal. Like,
boom, there it is.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
that'd be great. That would be a marketing strategy for sure.
That's what New Jersey should have done. Like just, but to try to bury it, like they just show up like, no one look.
Don't look at us. You think these are New Jerseys? No, they're not.
Oh my God. Oh Lord. All right. Well, since it is Thanksgiving, let's at least wrap it up with some festive holiday nonsense. Taylor, you wrote an article a couple of years ago before the world shut down about some of the Penguins players' Thanksgiving traditions. Why don't you share a little bit about this merry little group of guys and what they did?
Yeah, so the story I pulled up, it's from November 2019. So the day after Thanksgiving, they were in Columbus that day, and at the morning skate, I just went around and asked guys like what they did for Thanksgiving. And one of the guys who I talked to was Pedersen, because I mean, not American. I wanted to know if like the Europeans are doing this too. And he said him and Hornquist got together. And it was really funny because he said they're not fully embracing the American traditions. He said, we really don't know how to do it the American way, so we did a mix of like Swedish and American Thanksgiving traditions. He said, we didn't even have a turkey, but we had like mashed potatoes, some sauce, stuffing, and it was good. And he said Hornquist's wife did most of the cooking, but Hornquist did a little bit himself. And Pedersen, he said, usually you have cranberry sauce, right? In America, he said, we had lingonberry instead, so because I guess that's a Swedish thing. And he said, Hornquist made that. It was very good. Pedersen and his girlfriend didn't cook really much. He said his girlfriend made blueberry pie, and then they picked up Oreo cake pops on the way from Starbucks. But yeah, lingonberry. I was like, what's a lingonberry? And he's like, I guess it's kind of like a cranberry. And they made sauce out of it. He was explaining to me, he's like, you can get like the pre-made sauce. He's like, if you get it from Whole Foods, it's good. But like IKEA, because it's Swedish, they have, Swedish food. It's not just furniture there. They do have a little market section. He said, don't get it from IKEA. It's not good. I still haven't listened to him. I've never bought lingonberry sauce. I also don't like cranberry sauce, but it was funny. Like some of the younger guys too, like they had their, like McCann had a bunch of the young guys over, and he said they didn't trust, he didn't trust himself or his girlfriend together to cook for everyone, so they just had it catered. Like just bought like pre-made turkey and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope we get to find out like what guys do. I'm interested to see, like, I don't know, Wilkes-Barre, like all the Finns down there or like run together. I mean, there's 5 of them down there. I'd love to know like what they're doing, because we saw like the Swedes kind of did like a mix. I'd love to see if the Finns and Wilkes-Barre do something like that. Thanksgiving is fun. I know, Taylor, you're going to be driving, unfortunately, to New York tomorrow. That's a bummer. Jenna, do you have anything fun going on?
I'm home. Actually, I was going to say the room, like, I don't know if anybody saw it, just get progressively dark. It's just been setting. I'm sitting in my dad's office right now. I'm back home in Connecticut, just getting to spend Thanksgiving with my fam, which I haven't done in years. So just kind of having a nice day. And then I'll be back in Pittsburgh on Friday, getting ready for Steelers and Penguins and everything that's happening. Because the grind never stops for all of us.
Yeah.
It just keeps grinding and grinding and going and going and going. But that's good. And yes, all of us hope that you are having a lovely Thanksgiving holiday. Enjoy it.
Quick, favorite Thanksgiving food.
Oh, good call. Stuffing.
Stuffing.
Okay, I honestly don't like stuffing. I'd have to say mashed potatoes.
fair. That's fair.
I respect it.
Yeah.
Mashed potatoes, second place. Green bean casserole is good, especially Trader Joe's. No free ads, but Trader Joe's, they have like the pre-made ones we're talking about. But my mom makes like broccoli casserole, and I think like it was like last Thanksgiving or 2 Thanksgivings ago, I couldn't go home either, and I just made that like myself, and that was my Thanksgiving, just eating the entire broccoli casserole.
That is respectable.
So I might do that when I get back from New York, but otherwise Thanksgiving for me is probably going to be a pizza.
Awesome. Nothing wrong with pizza. I mean,
Not
that's
at all,
honestly
especially in New York.
great.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, can't go wrong with New York pizza.
Yeah.
What's more American than New York style pizza, right?
Oh man.
Oh my God. Awesome. Yeah. Well, everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Stay safe. Enjoy it. And we'll see you next Thursday for another episode of Podcast on Fifth Ave.